The last few days have been incredibly difficult for the people in our province. Our thoughts continue to go out to everyone involved and directly impacted by the flooding and the mudslides. While the worst of this storm has passed, the impacts of this natural disaster will be with us for some time. And we all need to pay close attention to weather warnings given the unpredictability that comes with climate change. Today, for example, Environment Canada has issued a winter storm warning on the North Coast. In the flood-impacted areas, our crews continue to work hard to re-establish highway connections as quickly and as safely as possible. And the province continues to work hard to support the ongoing work in Abbotsford, where city workers are shoulder to shoulder with the military, filling sandbags and building on a temporary dike. And we're working hard in places like Merritt, Princeton, and the Cowichan Valley to get these communities back on their feet. I want to thank all the crews across the province who are working day and night to protect and reconnect our communities. While this work continues, we need to keep the most severely affected roads clear for the movement of essential people, goods, and services. This will help address the supply chain disruptions which we have been experiencing. Due to weather-related impacts to the Trans Mountain pipeline and damage to the roadways, there is a reduced but steady supply of gasoline. We are working with the federal government to transfer more fuel into British Columbia in new ways. This includes bringing more fuel by truck and barge from Alberta, Washington State, Oregon, and as far away as California. I urge British Columbians to be kind and patient at the gas stations. Everyone is doing their absolute best to make sure those who need gas get it. And I'd like to thank the gas and energy companies who are making significant efforts to source fuel for British Columbians. Right now, we all need to do our part to make sure that emergency and essential vehicles can do their jobs. As a result, today, I am bringing in 2 new orders under the Emergency Program Act. These orders will help keep commercial traffic moving, stabilize our supply chains, and make sure everyone gets home safely. For the first order, we are prioritizing access to gasoline in southwestern British Columbia, Vancouver Island, and the Sunshine Coast for a short period of time, the next 10 to 11 days. Emergency and essential vehicles will have unrestricted access to gas as required, using predominantly commercial cardlock stations, so anyone who uses a cardlock now will continue to access fuel in this same way. Healthcare vehicles will continue to access fuel the way that they always do. Non-essential vehicles, including the general public, will still have access to gas available through retail gas stations. But people in southwestern British Columbia, Vancouver Island, and the Sunshine Coast will be limited to 30 litres per visit to the gas station. There will be temporary shortages, but we are taking this important step to maintain our supply of gasoline. Under the order, gas stations will be required to ensure their gasoline reserves last until December 1st of this year. Over the next 10 to 11 days, there will be delays. So take extra time if you need to go to a local gas station, and please be patient. To help ease the impacts from these restrictions and keep people moving, we're asking people to use public transit in impacted regions whenever possible. Carpool, share with a friend, walk, use alternative methods. This order does not impact natural gas or heating oil used to heat homes. I'm asking everyone in British Columbia to follow Dr. Henry's advice of being calm, take the extra time that you need, and know that we are all in this together. The second order will prohibit non-essential travel along severely affected highways starting today. This applies to the hardest hit sections of Highway 99, Highway 3, and Highway 7. There are legitimate and essential reasons for people to be traveling through the restricted areas. Examples include the commercial transport of goods, moving essential supplies like food and water, fuel, and medical supplies, transporting livestock and agricultural supplies. As roads are repaired and the backlog of essential traffic clears, restrictions on essential travel can and will be eased. We will be releasing the details on enforcement in short order, but my hope is that everyone understands the needs for these restrictions and fully cooperates. In other words, if you don't need to be traveling right now, don't. Stay home, and if you can't do that, carpool or take public transit or work from home. Because if you don't need to travel, then you won't need gas. Help keep our roads clear for commercial traffic and emergency personnel. We need everyone to do the right thing. If you don't have to be on the road, don't travel. If you only need a quarter tank, leave the rest for the person behind you. If you can work from home, please do so. We've been here before, so we know how to get through this, and we will do so by helping our neighbors, our friends, looking after our most vulnerable, and coming together. I'll now turn this update over to Minister Fleming. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Farnworth, and good afternoon. I am grateful to join you from the territory of the Algonquin-speaking people, the Songhees and Esquimalt nations. And this afternoon, I'll outline how and when the travel order affects 3 significant highways which will reconnect the Lower Mainland with the interior and the north. Yesterday, we were able to open Highway 7 to single-lane alternating traffic, and we expect this weekend that it will be 2-laned at some point. We will update you as that news progresses. Today, I am pleased to announce that Highway 3 from Hope out to the southern interior of the province is now open and is transporting vehicles on a priority essential basis. This will reestablish a vital link, allowing for the movement of essential goods and services to and from the Lower Mainland. And I cannot overstate how appreciative I am of everybody who is involved in this incredible effort, the crews along this corridor, to get it open. They have been going around the clock, clearing and repairing sections of the highway to the point where we can get traffic moving today, days ahead of the initial projections that we shared earlier this week. This connection, along with Highway 7 from Agassiz to Hope, and then on to Highway 3 from Hope to the interior, will be restricted. Will be restricted to the travel terms in the order. That means that if you're transporting essential products or delivering vital services that we all rely on, you can use this corridor. If you've been cut off from your principal address this past week, you can now drive home. But let me be clear who this is not open to. It is not open to recreational or non-essential travel at this time. I want to provide an update on Highway 99, which links up with Highway 97 just north of Cache Creek. As we all know, it has been closed due to the landslides near Lillooet, and right now it is looking like this route could be open by Sunday, again, for restricted travel, where people must abide by the order. We have been and will continue to work closely with the RCMP and search and rescue personnel who remain on site. There was a tragic loss of life at this site, and we are respectful of the work that search and rescue officials continue to do. The Sunday opening is, of course, contingent on them being able to continue to do their work. When the 99 does reopen, in this case, it will be primarily for regular passenger vehicles and not large commercial trucks at this point in time. So while we're very pleased with the progress that hundreds and hundreds of people have helped make possible to reestablish highway connections, I want to emphasize that this will not be travel as we'd expect under normal conditions. Crews will be on site with heavy equipment to continue to repair the roads, and until that work is fully complete, the traffic is going to be slow on these routes. We're pleased to have them reopen, but it will be slow, and there will be delays and stoppages. There will be workers and traffic control personnel on this route, and those who are driving need to be mindful of their safety and the directions they give to traffic. So for those whose travel aligns with this travel order that I've just outlined, you need to plan and prepare, and you need to be patient. You need to drive slowly and safely according to the conditions. Do not pass pilot cars if they're being used. They are there for your safety and for the safety of everyone else on the road. Prepare for winter conditions in the interior. This includes having proper winter tires, and it is everyone's responsibility, as always, to drive safely, but under these special conditions, people need to be additionally mindful. We don't want to have avoidable accidents that would cause these routes to close down again. And again, if it's not essential for you to travel, as defined by the order, then you are not permitted to be on these routes at this time. For those people who want to return to their principal residence, also please understand there's going to be a lot of trucks on these routes. Please understand that your passenger vehicle will be mixed in with commercial traffic, and there will be delays, and you must take extra precaution while driving. I would like to thank again the federal government and my counterpart, Minister Algalbra, for really stepping up to help out British Columbians. This morning they announced some very helpful measures to help fast-track BC truckers who don't typically travel to the U.S. The U.S. is temporarily relaxing some of its permitting requirements so that these truckers can drive into Washington State and then re-enter Canada beyond the impact area. I'd like to remind people that we still have a strong east to west connection in the north, where we'll be able to move supplies from Alberta. That continues. I'm also really pleased in this update to stress that Canadian Pacific CP Rail reports making very good progress repairing their lines. They have publicly announced now that they expect to open by the middle of next week. This could have and will have a tremendous impact in allowing goods to move in and out of the Lower Mainland and connect the Port of Vancouver to rail to the rest of BC and to Canada, and that's an important supply chain. There is some additional reassurance with respect to the fuel situation. Trans Mountain, who is inspecting their pipeline infrastructure after this storm event, advises us that they are making really good progress in getting their pipeline up and running again. They have over 200 people who are working to make this happen as quickly as they can. At this point, they report that barring any unforeseen setbacks, the company is hopeful that it can restart the pipeline in some capacity by the end of next week. In closing, I just want to sincerely thank all of those who've gotten us to this point. The first responders on site last weekend who helped stranded motorists, the towns like Hope and others that cared for travelers that were stranded in their communities, the restaurateurs, the voluntary organizations, the crews who've worked flat out to repair damaged infrastructure. British Columbians have pulled together in a time of crisis, and along with our federal partners and our local government and regional district partners and police and fire who've been so supportive, our government will continue to backstop those efforts. We will do everything we can in our power to make sure that BC can have supply chains reactivated as quickly as possible. Thank you. And I'll now introduce Minister Poplin.
Good afternoon, everyone. Well, today has turned out to be another challenging day for the agriculture sector, but we do have a few pieces of good news that I'll be bringing forward in just a moment. We continue to do our assessment of the damage, and I can tell you that there are 959 farms under evacuation order. There are 164 farms that remain on evacuation alert. We have about 20,500 hectares of farmland that's been impacted by the flood, and about 15,000 of these hectares are designated as agricultural land reserve. Some of the good news that I have to share with you today is that we have 35 vets on standby, many of them coming from Alberta, so that's very good news. We are seeing still some tensions between farmers trying to get into their barns and the RCMP that are trying to protect people from dangerous situations on the roadways. We know that as permits are being issued for farmers to cross those lines, the time it takes from the permit to be issued for the farmer to go across those lines onto the roadways, the conditions of the roadways are changing. It's very dynamic. There's a lot of water that's standing. So Emergency Management BC has requested more engineers to come in from the military, and that may allow us to move forward getting more precise information on the culvert system and the strength of the roadways that farmers need to travel on. Some of the good news that I can share with you is that most milk pickups are resuming in the Fraser Valley. This means that our supply management system is kicking in as predicted. The supply management system is sometimes criticized, but I think this is a great example of why it's so valuable to our country and to our province. And so we're really proud of the farmers who are managing to get the food system back online. There's a lot of people that are asking, how can we help? They're from communities that are not affected by flood. They're outside the province. They're outside our country. How can we help? I can say that for folks living in British Columbia, the most important thing that you can do right now to help is to follow the orders that we've just laid out. This will allow us to have the resources that are needed to continue to address this emergency. Thank you.